Welcome ladles and jelly spoons, old and new, to Kohigh Mathy's YouTube channel. Over the next few days we shall be playing through this little beauty, Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix, because February 2021 marks the game's 20th anniversary. For those of you that haven't seen it already, please do be sure to check out the retrospective review that I've done on Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix. There will be a link in the description down below, as well as one at the end of the video. Now, Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix, it genuinely is one of my favourite games, I'm safe to say, but it's not one that I've played very often. In fact, it wasn't until I noticed that Fear Effect 2 was on the docket for the retrospective review that I thought, my god, it's been quite a while since I played through that. It's probably about time that I played it again. Indeed, people that have been with the channel long enough might even remember that way back when I started the channel, I did actually attempt to do a playthrough of Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix, and I'm very pleased to say that none of that footage has survived the test of time. It was a bit bad, yeah, it was awful. So I thought, in honour of it turning 20, and because it's been a good few years since I played it last, in fact probably when I did that playthrough, so a good 7-8 years ago now, I should play through it again. I've brought through my companion, Tiger Tom, to aid and assist, as he's the closest thing I'm actually going to get to a genuine co-host at this current time. Genuinely can't wait for all this gestures vaguely at the state of the world to be over so I can have proper co-hosts back. It's quite interesting. If you haven't watched the retrospective review, I do kind of I make note of this. This game's background, or the story background, is that the world is sort of recovering from a global pandemic, so, you know, topical. The game is set in 2047, and they make note of the fact that the virus was identified in 2028. So I was like, oh, you don't know how close you almost got that. Oh dear, she's clearly had a bad reaction to the COVID vaccine there. Yeah, this game is a little bit graphic. Possibly should have put a warning. If I haven't put a warning on the beginning of this video, I do apologise.
In pseudo-enlightened and spiteful reflections of
I will also in a minute put the subtitles back on for those of you that are actually trying to keep up with what's going on. At the minute, she's just waffling on about the frailty of humanity, so you're not really missing much. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, she's not dead. She's indeed become some kind of tormented witch type creature, and has decided to haunt the dreams of that poor lass there, who, if you don't know, is Rain. She's on the cover of the game. She's that one there. Whew. Yep. Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix. Press the start button. I have decided to play the game on an emulator as opposed to plugging it into my PlayStation 3, which I did before, because the graphics were a little bit janky. Yes, I've put it on hard. I have put it on hard. Right, let's get into it and see what all that was about. So we've got a naked dude and a naked chick. He's clearly forgotten to buy her an anniversary present, so he's just giving her the cash. That is Deke. He is the hired assassin. Then we've got a chap out in the desert. This is Glass. He's a sort of disgraced ex-soldier, I think. It's been a long time since I played the first game. Think of it. Again, this is said as a prequel to the first game, so you're kind of already aware of who the characters. You should be sort of aware of who the characters are. The new character in this is Rain, Hannah's sort of love interest. More on that later. And there we are. That is Hannah from the first game, looking considerably sprightlier and younger than she did in the first game. Oh, it's a bit naughty. Oh, no, cover your eyes.
According to our intelligence, the exchange will take place
Plot.
tomorrow.
So let's pay attention.
Intact marker and safely delivered to us. You'll find the remainder of your fee waiting.
One of the things I love about this game is its art style, cell shading. This, I think, this and the first game was probably not the first, but very close to the first games that used cell shading in their games. It wasn't really made popular until the game 13 rolled around a few years later, which is always a shame because it sort of got a lot of praise for cell shading works marvellous. I was like, they did it in this game and the game prior to this. Anyway.
I'll email you the extra $1, Jen. I've got the case.
The game, I always feel, it doesn't really know what it wants to be. Is it trying to be sort of a survival horror? Because obviously, as we've already seen, there are definitely horror elements to it. Or is it trying to be an action puzzler? As you will see in the opening sections of this game, it leans quite heavily in on the puzzles. In fact, all the way through the game, it's quite heavy on the puzzles.
Keep your stinking abacus out of my life, Jen.
Then consider it investment advice. You're gonna need to bring a tech head with you on this one. I'll fill you in on the final details later.
So, was it worth dying for?
Yes, Hannah is sort of basically kind of like a triad assassin.
Now listen carefully. I'm only going over this once.
Trust me, Jen.
Jin is going to now sort of basically break down what you have to do in the opening section of the game, the aqueduct system, which Hannah's really upset about the fact we're having to go into the aqueducts. I don't know if they ever explain really why. But yeah, as he's sort of talking, you go through the aqueducts, you then go into a party. Now, you've probably noticed, and I possibly talked a little bit about this game's issues. Do we talk about the issues now, or do we talk about the issues later? I think maybe talk about the issues in a minute. Yeah, we'll talk about the issues this game has in a minute. It's very James Bond sort of spy thriller type thing. Sort of break in, underground, create. But no, not so much spy. More Mission Impossible. This has got more of a Mission Impossible feel about it than it does James Bond.
Shit, not the aqueduct.
See, she's upset about the aqueducts. What have you got wrong? What's wrong with aqueducts, love?
That's why you told us to come in by sea. So, what else didn't you get me?
Just a hair and some fingerprints. You'll need to charm those after Dr. Liu at the party.
Now, for those of you wondering what I'm drinking during playing this game, for those of you that have watched my 5 drinks to consume whilst gaming, I've gone for the old sparkling mineral water. Because it's quite early and I feel it's a bit too early for Lancaster Bomber. So there, Mr. B.
Anything else?
Can't help but feel this first episode is probably just going to be quite an awful lot of setup of the game.
You don't get an exit plan for 15%, but how's this?
Have I mentioned? Yeah, God, my memory's going. I'm playing this on a emulator. just because the graphical fidelity of the game came across better on the emulator than it did when I tried to run it through my PlayStation 3. I was originally going to try and do it that way, but then I tried the game last night and I was like, it was amusingly a little bit too dark. See my playthrough of the Bouncer if you want to get that reference. And we're in! Right, okay. Can you hear me? She's standing right next to you! She can obviously hear you.
Last one out of the aqueduct buys the champagne. Deal. I'll even give you a head start.
Oh. And here we go. So should we save off the bat? Probably a good idea. Use your cell phone to save. I like that. I didn't like the fact that you couldn't save anywhere. It was very much like there were save points, but I did like the whole kind of like, oh, there's a save spot. You find the save spot when you hear your phone ringing. Good. Come on, you need the blasting caps. Yes, this game you can dual wield weapons. Nice. So you see, it's pretty standard tank controls. Very much in the vein of Resident Evil. You can change them to Metal Gear controls, which basically means that the direction I'm pointing on the old D-pad there is the way that your character will move, whereas tank controls is always forward for your character, regardless of their orientation on screen. Yeah. So there we go, up, and then through the door, and then up. Here we go, yeah. Wow. Turn left to right, left to right. So, if I have... Oh, hang on, there's a quick cutscene. We'll make a quick save, because we're gonna meet our first baddie. Yes, baddies. Here we go. I did like the way that the FMV in this does very nicely sort of blend into the gameplay. This game does it better than the Bouncer does it. Good. Check out these guys. See, so dual wielding, so I can shoot one. Could have shot both. I was trying to shoot both of them, but I failed. Yeah, the Bouncer obviously, sort of came out, would have come out a few months before this. I think by today's stand. Oh, I forgot about this cutscene. Oh no, evil rats! Foreshadowing. Yes, I need to pick up a metal hook. Here we go. The game doesn't really tell you that's what you have to do. I just can remember it from playing it before. As we're saying, yeah, the Bouncer, obviously a PlayStation 2 title that came out before, a few months before this. I think by today's standards, you can quite obviously sort of tell where they make the split from cutscene to gameplay, even though it sort of boasted that it was difficult to tell back in the day. And to be fair, it probably was more back in the day. I still think this game does a better job of that, sort of blending the lines between gameplay and an FMV. And it came out a few months later and on the previous generation of hardware. And use that metal hook in here. There we go. I have got a yellow key card. I can now go back. We have come and open a door. And then turn the power on and then return to Rain, who's working on a door. Try and get us through. Okay. I'm holding a little handheld EMP, which is basically a little electronic device to knock out those little robot guards. And it only knocks them out for like 5 seconds or so. I'll shoot it once, show what it does. Here we go. Turn the power on.
Nicely done. Door's open. Now get your pretty ass back here.
Ooh, I like it when you're bossy.
All right, Hannah, you've kind of gone all weird and alluring now. I appreciate that I didn't get to cover the first game in the series, so people who are sort of new to this don't really know exactly what I'm talking about. Here we go, yeah, fire off the EMP and see how it goes. Here we go! Deader. Knocked them all out. Now I'm going to go through this door. Yeah, you see, only knocks them out for a few seconds. I'm going to go through this door and...
What the hell? Darn it. These things are so ancient. I'm surprised it worked the first time. Go flip the switch again. I'll wait.
Yes,
Great,
I've
but I
been
need the
your princess is
exercise.
in another castle. Basically go back and press the switch again. Oof. As I was saying, in the first game, Hannah's characterisation was quite different, and I can't say I was a massive fan of what they did to her in the second game. Now, that being said, it was more the marketing department that screwed her up more than the game. If you look at any of the marketing for this game, they lean heavily on the fact that the game has got two females in that are in a relationship. Yeah. In fact, to be fair, if you just went off the marketing for this game, you would not realise there are sections of this game where you play as the other two characters, Deke and Glass. You just wouldn't, and you play as Rain. Yeah, you just wouldn't know. And it sort of, as a fan of the first game, it sort of annoyed me a little bit that they sort of went down this weird, like, erotic lesbian fantasy thing. The game leans into it in certain bits. There's definitely a bit at the end of the aqueducts that is not good. Sorry, I'm completely not paying attention to what's going on. We'll talk about that when it happens.
Just blew up in my face. Are you all right?
My ears are ringing
Basically,
like a
there's
church bell,
definitely a
but
bit at the
fine.
end of the aqueduct
Can't say the same for the
system that we'll
room,
probably
though.
see
The
at
exit's
some point
jacked. I'm
that
taking the section across
is
from
definitely
here.
put
Good
in
choice.
I think
just
you stay
to
put.
appease
I'll move ahead.
13-year-old boys playing this game.
Then I'll see if I can...
Thanks for watching, Littles and Jelly Spoons. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for more Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix with myself and Otto the Ocelot. The best way to make sure that you don't miss out is to, of course, subscribe and click the bell so that you're notified every time there is a new Kohigh Mathy video uploaded. Cheerio, see you tomorrow.